Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dave Sebastian. Whoop, a second. There we go. Your coordinator of mentoring arts programming. I am super late today. It is 5 o'clock from my 1 o'clock time slot. I'm very sorry about that, guys. I think we're going to be changing our times instead of 12 to 2 on Facebook and 1 to 3 on YouTube. That'd be 1 to 3 on YouTube Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and on YouTube, on Facebook, Wednesday, Friday. I think we're going to change all of them to 3 o'clock. Because I'm having a hard time getting to them earlier. And you know, the school, the like homeschooling thing has been super interesting and terrible. So I'm having trouble being able to do both things. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to push it up to 3. Today completely doesn't count, you know. And I probably missed all my guys that normally watch this thing, but maybe we'll catch some new people, you know. So a couple things I wanted to tell you guys about. First, I want to tell you about my programs. As I said, I am the coordinator of mentoring arts programming for Wayside Youth and Family. Wayside is a human service agency out of Framingham. I've been working with these guys for about 7 years. I started in a program called Tempo Young Adult Resource Center. I have a studio in the basement there where we run open studios on Wednesdays and Fridays from 10:30 to 3 when we're allowed to be there. We will be back there soon, I'm sure. So right now we're running our own version. We're running a version of that on Facebook Wednesdays and Fridays, and then the rest of my time I'm out in the community, outreaching to young adults to try to bring arts programming to anyone interested in Central Mass. So and I call that program TAG, the art group. So this is the virtual version of that. I am excited to be able to work with more of you folks and have it be an accessible place to continue learning art or watching me create art. That's kind of like what the job of mentoring artists is I paint and do artwork and you guys kind of watch me as opposed to teacher, you know. So this is the best I can do as far as like an artwork, doing artwork together. I super miss you guys, my regular folks in Framingham and in the community. I hope everybody's well, especially Abba and the therapy chicken, therapy pigeon. I was a magpie, therapy pigeon. So anyway, we are here with you guys today, and that's kind of where my program was created by a partnership between Wayside and the Department of Mental Health. They've been incredibly supportive and are integral into my programming. You know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate their support. So back, you know, what we're going to do today, right, is a little bit different. So normally I'm here doing artwork for you guys, and you're watching me. And I enjoy doing that. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to take some artwork I've created already and prepare that for shows. And I want to show you the way I present my artwork, you know. And hopefully, you know, this process will work in a number of ways. Like this program specifically exists for the purpose of inspiring folks to do artwork at their place, you know, and like just to be inspired, you know what I mean? Like that's a big deal, you know. That's what I'm really trying to do. So because you don't necessarily have the stuff I have today, especially, right? But I don't necessarily always have the stuff that you know, that I have, you know. So it's unfair to you know, to expect folks to do what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is to try to just sort of like show you guys something. And kind of go from there, you know, and like hopefully get you guys interested. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking for. You know what I mean? So sorry about that camera switch. Some timing issues. So we're going to look at a bunch of different artwork today, talk a little bit about it, see what you guys think, and like I said, get some things ready for shows. Right now in this world, we don't necessarily have shows, but you know, they'll be back. I think, you know, people are starting to show artwork again already, just in some big cities and stuff. So I'm hoping that we'll be back. All right. So most of today we're going to be working with our golden high flow acrylics dauber bottle. Dauber is like, you know, this crazy cap like for bingo, but it's also a really, really quick way to apply. Here's my dog. To apply a bunch of paint kind of in a hurry. We'll talk about that more in a second. We're going to pull out some different pieces of artwork that I've done and discuss them. Excuse me. Let's see. A little better? I don't know. Seems pretty dark actually, but there we go. I'm trying a new lighting technique on the desk in front of me, which is using a box light. But yeah, so I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different artwork. I'm going to talk about it real quick. You know, I don't know how long it's necessarily going to take, you know, but we'll see. So we're going to use these golden fluid acrylics, Gorilla wood glue, 1-inch Liquitex brush. Let me grab one more thing. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. So these two pieces of artwork here are what we're going to start with, right? This one on the right, I don't really have anything that I want to say about it, except for a little bit of the story. If you guys have watched any of my stuff, or you've seen all these videos over here, or over there, whatever it is, you know that I've just spent about the last 22 live streams creating a leather jacket, you know, a custom leather jacket based on Cthulhu. I had a great time working on that jacket. In fact, it was an incredible find. I found it at a flea market out in Hubbardston, Massachusetts. We had a great time. You know, I go there every week. I really like going there. I have a great time there. But the jacket was super crazy motorcycle-y, you know, with you know, a lot of insignia and spikes and that kind of stuff. And it was really cool and interesting. And inside, like as the tag for the jacket, was this image right here. Let me turn some stuff off. This image right here, which says UCLA can't change perfection. Bomb boogie. Realized for active young people, we are unstoppable. We are uncatchable. If ever there was a graph slogan, it would be that one. That's pretty awesome, right? Really cool. And so this was just black, obviously, and I had this idea of Bomb Boogie would be being bombed with a disco light, you know what I mean? So with a disco ball. So this piece I created right before I started working on the jacket. Presentation on this piece, I have not thought of something. I'm kind of trying to figure it out. If you guys out there have any thoughts, let me know. We're going to leave this on the side and see if anybody comes up with an idea while we're working on the other projects. If you have an idea, throw it in the comments. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. Any feedback or input's fine. You know what I mean? So set this over here on the side. My project lately has been about this work right here, which are collages. This particular one is from Mad Magazine. This is by the brilliant Bill Elder, who's who's one of the great Mad Magazine artists from the late '60s. I love this guy's artwork, but it's kind of lost in the closed books. Excuse me. he's lost in the when the books are closed somehow. Like it feels like Bill Elder is gone. Like nobody's seeing this guy's work anymore. So there's an idea of like for me sharing his work with a whole new generation of folks that don't get it. And then honestly, between you and me, the comedy of Mad Magazine has never been what got me. It's funny, sometimes, but really it's about this incredible satirical artwork that these artists are creating. And some of the guys are, in my opinion, some of the most brilliant artists of their time. Wally Wood drew for Mad Magazine, Harvey Kurtzman. These are some important guys in the history of art as opposed to just the history of comics. So I wanted to kind of show some folks what some of the artwork from back in those days looks like. So this piece is very small. This is a 4x4 piece. I think this is my eighth 4x4 piece. I'm doing another 5, and they're coming along. This really cool size to produce artwork in, and this is a custom barnwood reclaimed frame from Kentucky. A friend of mine, a person I met on Etsy, but who's a friend now, has been making them custom for me. Really, really great guy. They're drop-in frames. And I take my collages. Sorry, you guys, know what's going on. I take my collages, which are done on amber sand. One sec. Amber sand artist panels, which is a piece of masonite with gesso glued to it. Really, really cool. And so I take that and we drop it into these frames and we wood glue it in there, right? So that's one of the things that we have to do repair-wise today, or preparation-wise. So this guy would be like basically ready for the show. Like this guy is good to go. We use the open space in the back for hanging. He's framed. The frame is prepped. The piece is clear coated, like really, really nice, and everything is ready to go. So this guy is completely ready to go. One sec, you guys. So this piece here, our next one, back out a little quicker. This is when I'm in control of the pan. Everything goes very, very slowly. Okay, so this is a piece of artwork by Bernie Wrightson, easily my favorite artist of the 70s. Without a doubt. This is a page, an inside front cover of Creepy magazine. Guys are wearing me out. This is some seriously brilliant artwork. I mean, this guy's doing some really great stuff. This is a prepped Canson plain air board, and then that board is painted black. And then we glue this guy. And then we glue down this piece of artwork. And then this one would be dropped into a frame if I wanted to sort of upgrade it. But I do a number of these one panel images just on heavyweight paper. This is Canson plain airboard, but it feels like illustration board to me, which is what I always used growing up. So these ones, I like to produce these for inexpensive artwork. I try to sell my work at shows, and you can have expensive stuff, and you have to have some attainable stuff. Otherwise, it's hard to get the folks that you're kind of interested in catching. Well, I thought I could show you a big piece of artwork, but I can't. You don't want to drive anybody away. I do the small pieces so that they're available to folks. I do some medium-sized pieces, and then of course the bigger pieces. In fact, I think I've done 4x4, 8x11, 9x12, 18x24, 4x20, and 11 by 17. So I've basically done all of the standard sizes and that weird 4 by 20 size. I've actually done 2 of those. Really interesting. I love the shape. Hard to frame, which is why if you're working with someone who does your custom frames, it's totally brilliant. You know, like really brilliant. I always forget the name of this guy's store. Total jerk. I will try to put it into the comments if you guys are interested in checking it out. So what we need to do with this one right here, as far as getting it ready for the show, is down here some of my glue, which what I use for glue when I made this is Mod Podge, which is a great craft glue, works really, really well. Is very inexpensive, water-based, easy to clean up. You know, once it's down, it stays down. There is some yellowing that happens with it, but on this recycled artwork, there's no. It's not a problem. Like I don't need it not to yellow things. You know. One thing that I worry about is it yellowing through the back. And I've also found some problems where Mod Podge really glues your brushes really badly. Like you have really just a few minutes after you've done gluing, and you have this paintbrush right here set on the side, and before it turns into a solid object. Now you can clean it, but it takes a long time, and you're never 100% sure all the dry glue is out of it. So I was having a hard time with that. So I decided to move over. I don't know why I bottled to show you guys my custom bottles, but I moved over to gel medium, and gel medium is paint without pigment. So it's pretty much, you know, it's safe. I've been working with acrylics for years. I totally understand how they work. So being able to work with sort of a heavy body acrylic made it like much more comfortable for me, and something I didn't have to get used to. This piece of our artwork, though, I did back when I was using Mod Podge. So for this repair, we're going to use Mod Podge. Now you don't have to use a wicked lot, but it is good to spread it out. Because if you don't spread it out, you get clumps, you know, and you can see those through the board. Now, a great thing about both gel medium and Mod Podge is that they dry clear. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be seeing any of this white sticking out. You know, this stuff it's going to stay, and it's going to be clear. So I actually coat the tops of all of these pieces. Something's underneath here. And if it was any kind of problem of not being white, you know, I'd be really in trouble. You know, I might just have to leave that there. Wonder what it was, a piece of dirt or something. All right. So all we did with that is we just glued this piece back down. You know, and now you just kind of want to chase it out. Like one tool I use is this one, which is a brayer. You can get in and push all the air out of the artwork, hopefully. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't really work out, and you have to be careful, because if you use like your fingernails or anything, you can easily tear the paper. But if you use something like this tool right here, which is a stencil puller, you know, we can open it up enough that we could push some glue in there. Right. Oop. All right. Now we can use the brush, of course, but this guy might do the job just as well. All right. So the same deal, you know, grab your brayer. It's good to try to keep your brayer out of the glue, because as soon as you get glue on it, you're going to spread that glue everywhere. So all you want to do is get this guy in here and get a good push on it, like we did wondering what's up with this weird little thing that's over here. Bring it up and get whatever it is out. Alright. There, now we moved it over. Interesting. You know it's going to be like nothing, but it keeps moving. Oh, it's funny. It just keeps going. All right, there we go. Now, of course, we've got big section of unglued surface here. You know, all of this stuff is from my project called the Open Comic Project, which is about showing young adults about the history of comic art, sort of exposing them to definitely some work that they're probably not going to run across in their day-to-day life or on the internet. So, you know, all I was doing was trying to get some pieces, you know, some artists and some work that I thought young adults would respond to. Many of the young adults I see and work with are very interested in anime and manga, and I think that's an awesome way to learn about comics. Totally. And enough for sure, but I grew up reading American comics, so I feel like that's the best stuff. Although I'll be honest with you, Junji Ito is probably the greatest horror artist in history. He did this book called Uzumaki, and if you guys haven't heard of it, go out and rent it. I mean, go out and buy this comic because it's brilliant. They're going to be on Toonami this year, and I'm going to be tuning in, so I hope everybody will. They had said 2020, but now it's 2021, so we're going to go ahead and hope that you know, works out. So now we got this guy fixed, you know, like the back out a little. So we got him glued down. You know, the glue here is going to have to dry. Only thing I see as being a problem right now is that the edges are still white. You know, that's not a huge big deal, but I like them to be black. So I'm using the dauber, and this has Liquitex high flow acrylics in it. Great product, totally does the job. I don't love Golden's most of their colors, but of course black works fine, and this idea of a dauber tip is really great. Liquitex makes the dauber tips themselves, which is another cool thing that some, you know, graffiti artists didn't come up with this idea. Golden is progressive enough that they came up with it. That's wicked cool. A little bit of pieces of trim hanging out here that I'm going to have to fix. This part you have to be careful you don't push too hard and drip paint down the artwork. Mostly you just go pretty quick. Right. So we got a dog hair. Not okay. No. It's glue. Glue from when this was held into the sketchbook. That's funny. It's not funny. It's tremendously unprofessional. I guess I just didn't notice it. All right. So like I said, this would be an inexpensive piece of artwork. Whoa! Are you okay? Sorry about that, you guys. My dog knocked half my studio over. Oh. everybody okay? Gee, that large crash was my dog knocking my studio over. All right, so hey, you gotta go out, man. You gotta go out, man. You gotta go out, dog. Oh, that's a dog. Oh, God. Oh, that's a dog. Oh, okay. All right, you gotta go out, man. Come on. All right. She's going crazy. You guys got to look at that shirt. Oh, that's my kids bought me that shirt. You know, kids, they're hilarious. All right. So that was piece number one. Went pretty good. Next thing we're going to take a look at is this piece of artwork right here. So this one is another from Mad Magazine. Another one from Mad Magazine. And this one is by Jack Davis. Jack Davis is one of my favorite artists in general in the 60s and 70s. This particular work was again in Mad Magazine. If you take a look at some of this stuff, you'll see that like his draftsmanship was just amazing. I mean, look at that. Great senses of light and stuff, just really wonderful stuff. And then this is, of course, from the Casey at Bat poem. I personally don't know that one, but this is a drawing from that. I really dug this a lot. I'm a baseball fan, and I've been missing it wicked bad. Can't stand the fake crowd noise. No idea why. They need it, obviously, but I just can't stand it. So in any case, I did this piece from some Mad reprints. I guess it's worth mentioning that all of this artwork is made from reprints, because there is honestly no way that I would ever, use comics that had value in this context. It's totally ridiculous. Completely would not do that. Because I have tons of respect for comics and I'm a collector, so like I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So this guy here I glued with gel medium. This is a 9x12 piece of artwork. It's on the ampersand artist board again. This one is a fairly thin one. So it's ampersand. And this is gesso board, as you can see. The gesso board is not expensive. I think this one was maybe like $5 or $6. It's a hard board coated in coated in gesso, obviously, from the gesso on the back. It's kind of cool. So I've been using these boards for a while. I started on canvas, and I realized that when you put the brayer to canvas, you'll realize that it stretches, which deforms your paper. So hard surface, definitely the way to go with collage. Now you can see if you look here that I tried to glue this already. This is hot glue in here. And the hot glue did not work at all. Seemed like a good idea at the time. But this is wood. This is wood. So it seems like maybe we should go with something like this, which is Gorilla Glue wood glue. This is the stuff. This is amazing stuff. In fact, it's funny that if you leave it open, you'll literally have to take the entire bottle apart just to clean it out. I just did that, so we should be in good shape. All right, so we're gonna try to see if we can glue this thing up here, and stop me if you see anything dangerous happening. You can't stop me, you're nowhere near me. All right, so all we're gonna do is just glue this guy down, put some weight on him, and see what happens. So Gorilla Glue, all of it expands a bit, so you want to try to be careful. I'm trying to be careful not to put too much, but you also want to put enough that it's going to do the job. And after this bad experience with the hot glue, I'm not 100% sure what it'll take to do the job at this point. All right. Just get it around in there. Give it about 1 second. They say give it a sec after you do it and then bond it. I'm hoping that it doesn't dry to the hot glue, which is then not dry enough. You know what I mean? Like doesn't allow it to stick to the wood itself, and we have just sticking to the hot glue. And that isn't what I want. So this part, you gotta put some pressure on it, and you have to square it up where where you want it to go. Like I can hear the artwork peeling in this corner here. Over here seems good, but it's this corner. Now you want to, no matter what you do, you want to make sure you put some weight on this. Trying to think what I was going to use that's really heavy and small enough that can land in this spot here. That's not a bad question, Bert. I don't think I have anything I think of as being heavy enough, for this spot, because I feel like, see, it's still coming up. We need like a break. We couldn't use a break though. I don't think, anyway. I'm gonna grab a book. You want to go out? All right, big old textbook. This should do it. Ancient Mexico. So you just have to make sure you get that corner in there so that it'll get the weight on it. Make sure the whole book is in there. It doesn't 100% fit, but it fits enough to get the pressure on the side that we need it to be. So this next guy is Hong Kong Phooey. If you guys are not familiar with Hong Kong Phooey, there's totally something wrong with you. Hong Kong Phooey is hilarious, genius. I don't know how involved he was, but the voice for Hong Kong Phooey is Scatman Crothers, who was just a brilliant guy. He was in The Shining, and I don't know what else he had done in his life, but those two things impacted me personally a significant amount. So this was from a kid's book, a Hanna-Barbera Hong Kong Phooey kids book. My kids were actually really angry with me when I cut this up because they really liked it, and now we could never read it again. It was all of, I think, 6 pages long, double, both sides, and it was not much. There was definitely not much in there. I was impressed that I was able to cover a 9x12 surface with what I had, which was not much. This one is also on the ampersand gesso board, and it's also reclaimed barnwood from my friend. Let me see if I can find that guy. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to give you guys the rack, So my buddy's name is Dry Run Woodworks, and that is on Etsy. Again, Dry Run Woodworks. He does some really awesome stuff. His name is Todd. He's a great guy. If you need anything, please reach out to this guy. I can't tell you a lot about what else he does, but his Etsy page is all custom frames done with this reclaimed wood. So I'm thinking that might be a lot of what he does, But I'm sure, due to my own experience, that he would be willing to do other things. All right. What I'm doing here is just cleaning that glue brush a little. wash that down a lot more, but that's a good place to start. Let's take one more tool for this one. Come on. All right, so this guy has to be painted black. So we want to set that up. Sometimes I hate doing it because look at this cool, some of these knotwork and this funny like T that's notched into the side here. Maybe we should put it like this so that the T is right side up. And this, some of the knots and stuff are real cool. But, it's got a job to do. And we gotta have him do it. All right. So for this one, all I do is take the dauber, like I was saying, and instead of painting this with a paintbrush, just use this dauber to do it, which works out really well. Sorry about that. That's my compressor. I'm not airbrushing right now. High flow acrylics are nice and thin, so they work for this perfectly. By thin, I don't mean the pigmentation is thin because it actually is like a real nice saturation. But I mean they're thin enough that they really race nice. Like when you're using them, they get out there quick. Now, one of the problems with using the dauber is that you can't get in everywhere. I mean, simply because the dauber's tip is too big. Oh, and then you can do one of two things, which is you could take a paintbrush and do it. All right. Which can work just fine. I want to grab one of my tattoo paint cups. I think it's good to use the same paint. A lot of folks say black is black, what difference does it make? And that's true. But I also think that, having something be all the same is kind of cool too. Plus, you don't have to buy different paint. And somebody else said, why bother painting behind the piece, Like, well, I don't know. That's just how I do it. Of course, I'm painting on, this is uncured wood. This is, not prepped in any way. I kind of like that dry look, which is why I'm not doing any of those things. All I would do, if I was into that, is sand it and coat it with some kind of a sealer. I'm not sure exactly what I would use. I would ask my painter friend, Bob, as far as house painter. He knows way more than me about that kind of stuff. In fact, I've always thought of myself as a relatively mediocre mediaist, but I've been getting better. Where I'm like using a lot of different medias instead of just using, what you've always used. You want to try not to touch it if you can, because our oils in our hands leaves pretty good fingerprints. Okay. And that's prepping that part. Same thing with this brush as we talked about with with our last thing was, you want to make sure you don't let it dry on you. Just makes a mess. So next thing we have to do is you see the edges, right? Just like we did on the last one. Now the edges are real easy to do because of the dauber. They're a little bit hard to hold on to because there's not a lot of places you can hold on to right now that don't have paint on them. I just messed that up, touching it with my finger. This right here is the cross cut, which makes it kind of raw, more raw, excuse me. So this is the one that'll tear up the nib of this dauber. Um, I've started buying daubers by the 6-pack because I use them up, which there's nothing better than using up an art supply. It's a little inconvenient to run out in the middle of something like this, so I need it to do this job. Could I use a lot of other ways to do it? I guess so, but this is the way that I do it, and I like it. Like I said, holding on to it, getting to be a problem since there's more and more wet paint all over it. So there's a little bit of squeeze when doing this, but not much. Gravity from this spot right here is completely doing the job for me. I don't have to do much at all. All right. So now we know this guy is, we got him all coated up. You look around, see how many fingerprints you put on it. See if we missed anything, and don't you know, we missed something right here. Not going to go back with the dauber when I have this brush right here. This is some of that cross-cut section, so it's kind of repelling the paint a little. This brush here is kind of cool. It's a very, very old brush. I found a large box of paintbrushes, and I said to the guy, how much you want for those? And it says it's Paloma Goodman. I don't know who that is, but anyway, I had a whole bunch of paintbrushes, and you know, paintbrushes can be one of the things about being an artist that's challenging is that they're expensive, and there's a lot of moral issues with them. You know, what do you paint with and why? So by seeing a bunch of those old brushes was like really awesome. So I said, hey, what do you want for the whole thing of brushes? And he says, hold on. And he pulls out like a portfolio case completely filled with paper, other medias, stencils, you know, French curves and angles, all in this huge box. And he says, I'll give you the whole thing for $40. Probably around 400 brushes in there. In fact, that was about 5 years ago, and I think I've probably used 20 brushes. And I'd say that was, you know, an outside exaggerated number. Okay, so we're going to take this guy and slide him over here while he dries. Going to bring in this guy. This is another piece of artwork. One sec. Sorry about that, guys. Everybody's calling me. Nothing's worse than being right in the middle of something. So this piece here is artwork by Steve Bissett and John Totleben for the Sandman, Swamp Thing comic from DC's Vertigo line. I really dig this piece. I had a great time making it. Etrigan, the demon here, is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's supposed to be, he was supposed to have been summoned by Merlin in the last moments of the battle with Morgan Le Fay, where Merlin is killed or disappears. And he sends him out to fight. This is the DC version of that character, who has been around for thousands of years and changes back and forth between this character and Jason Blood, his human host. His name is Etrigan. Really, really cool. He speaks in rhyme. I think this one says, feast, jack and ape, eat hearty while you can, upon your neck the breath of Etrigan. You know, he's like a rapper from back in the day. So you see, looking at this piece, it has exactly the same problem as the last piece that we worked on, which is that the frame needs to be black. Misplaced my usual rag, which is right around here somewhere. Oh, there you go. Ah. This is my special rag, the shop rag, as they say. Thinking about buying one of those boxes of rags, but then I was like, it would take me years to go through a box of rags, or maybe I would be less responsible with them because I had a box. I don't know. I get into these quandaries. So the first deal, same as the last one, will be to take out the Etrigan piece. And set this guy up the same way. Maybe just to be different this time, we'll paint down the sign. Whoops. Don't leave that out. My dog outside scratching. You need to hang out with me, she says. Please. My dog is an English bulldog. Her name is Rosie. I have two. This one is the more insistent one. Right. So now we have this side's painted already. Oh, that looks like we didn't do the best job there. Alright. This side's painted, so what you don't want to do is flip it and put it down there. So I just kind of put it on the tip, so that we can do the next side. Alright. And like I said, there's a little bit of squeezing to kind of like really coat this cross-cut side. Alright. So now the same deal. Got that other corner that's not good. After a cross-cut side, the smooth cut are like a cakewalk, Alright. So now that we got the sides all set, we can do all of our inside again. Hold on one sec, I gotta let my dog in. She'll just be barking in the background. Rose, you want to be in my live stream? Alright guys, I'm back. Alright, cool. So same deal as the last one. Now we got our outside done, so we've jumped ahead a little. So now we just kind of do the same thing that we did last time. The fronts tend to be really smooth compared to the sides. See how quick this goes? Like even if I was using a paintbrush, it wouldn't go this quick. I've thought about using the airbrush to do that, which works really quick, but I want a harder coverage than the airbrush, and the airbrush, to get a harder coverage, you'd have to do it a bunch of times. And that would defeat it wouldn't be, like it would make using the dauber seem even better if it took me a long time with the airbrush. So it makes sense to work on the side you can see first. Alright. Man, what is happening here? Alright. Ever have those days where you just keep hearing the same song again and again? It's been happening to me today with Slayer, Rain and Blood. I think I've heard that song 5 times today. I'm sure a bunch of you guys out there has had the same thing happen. Slayer you keep catching Slayer. Alright. Just poke around, see if there's anything you think you missed. Alright, looks like we got some pretty good coverage there. Roll it around real quick, see if we see any spots we missed. Looks pretty good. So now we're going to put this guy over in the same place to dry. All right, taking a look at a leather one. Pretty similar problem. Back again. So this one here is based on a drawing by Brian Boland for the Judge Dredd Comics Series 1, 1984. This is Judge Death from, I believe it was his first appearance. I made him a little bit chubbier because I thought that that would be funny. I don't know if it's funny or not, but it is what it is. So this piece has the same problem that the last two pieces had as far as the frame. So we're going to switch this guy real quick. This guy is done on that Canson Plain Air illustration board with dye markers. Maltao makes a dye marker now, like Prismacolor, as opposed to paint. And I drew this using that. You know, had a great time doing this. This was also in a live stream. If you're interested, you can look back towards the bottom. It's been a few months. So I'm going to pull this guy out. Same, the Canson board. Place them all over here. And just go right into doing the same one again. So you want to switch it this time and do the flat again? Yeah. We'll go back and forth. This here is the cross cut this time. A little bit rough. All right. All right. Right. So as you can see, we did great, but we still got this big old space. So back to the brush. Oh, you know what I should try? I didn't even think of it. Doesn't do much. Having the brush over on the side like that, I mean the bottle, makes it impossible to work out really. I hope this isn't boring to you guys. You know, this stuff is really important. Um, you know, I've met a lot of great artists whose work is sitting in a sketchbook in their bedroom. You know, or they've done a show, but they've used extremely inexpensive frames, which ultimately cheapen your work. You know, these frames are not expensive. I think this one was $12. You know, where if you went to Michael's in a hurry and bought a red apple frame, it makes your stuff look awful. It's untempered glass, so it breaks very easily, potentially damaging your artwork. And it just kind of screams out, you know, for a show or amateur or something. You know, you want to, when you're done thinking about how you want to create artwork, you want to think about presentation. In fact, actually there, I would make a comment that I wish I had known, which is create your artwork in established sizes. I want to rebel against everything in the world as much as I can. But if you rebel against the sizes, the standard sizes of paintings, you're going to be stuck building your own frames and having no options. Or putting your artwork in frames that are the wrong size and somehow trying to jerry-rig that. Which 9 times out of 10 looks bad and says something about the seriousness of you and your work. Nobody wants to be judged, and I would absolutely argue that the quality of your framing job is definitely not something that they can judge you personally about. And I don't mean that, but what I do mean is judging your artwork. You know, like you're only so serious if all you can get is to get it in a red apple frame, or you know, use a piece of canvas, because then you don't have to do anything else to it. This is, cop out is the wrong word, but it's not cool. You know, it's just not what you should do. Just one sec, you guys. All right, so now we got this inside going pretty good. And then remember, we swapped our method this time, so we still have our edges to do. This is, of course, the cut sides again, the cross cut side. This may be it for my dauber, this set of frames. I find it's easier if you kind of like coat it heavy when it's really bumpy. Caught me sticking my tongue out. That's funny. I swear I don't usually do that. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that there's like, the saw left a spiraling pattern down the side. Not sure if that was Todd's job. See it here too? Or it may have been that the wood already had this grain thing going on, this cross cut. In fact, I would say that looks like what it is, because here you can see it cutting both directions. So maybe one way was Todd's way, and the other was whoever cut this the first time. Alright, I missed a spot. Give it a once over. See if we missed anything. Looks like we missed a little in here. Here. Alright, looks pretty good. Alright. We bring this to the land of drawing frames. Oh. this one? Hey. Oh, missed a couple more spots here. 1 second. Story of my life, finding different spots as you look around at something. Alright, what do we got next? Alright, next up is this guy. This is a collage made from John Carl Anderson's Henry character. I don't love Henry. I find him to be, I've never really even heard of him until I did this piece. My kids had this book. We got it at a flea market or something. And the story of this book is that the kid's trying to think of what he should be when he grows up. And he falls asleep dreaming about that. And in his dream, a lollipop comes and talks to him and introduces Henry to all of his lollipop friends. And then they bring him to the factory where lollipops are made. And then they suggest he eat one of them. So here at the bottom, he's tasting each of the guys to see which one he should eat. I found that to be a little odd. I mean, it's cool. Whatever, more power to you. But it's a little bit odd. You know what I mean? But I really enjoyed doing the collage, though, because some of the colors and stuff are pretty cool. And they're colors that are very unlike, what I would normally use. Like, this is pretty close to the colors I would normally use. So it was cool to have, to have something sort of different to work on, and it fits in with my style by being extremely strange. So this piece, unfortunately, was another one of the hot glue victims. Hot glue really didn't work for this job, which is a serious bummer, because it did very successfully make a huge mess. There's a different tool. There we go. Really? Alright, be doing that. I was trying to think of an easy way to remove some of this hot glue. And I don't really have anything, so I figured maybe if I could just remove the big chunks, that might help, But one of the interesting things about hot glue is it did a terrible job gluing these surfaces together, but it's pretty good at holding on. So I'm just going to try to get these big pieces. Hey, I have a razor in there, but it's just not that sharp, it seems. Most of the hot glue in here is minor, like a little bit of it. But over here, these are some pretty big chunks, so just wanted to make sure we have room for our glue to work, because without the glue, we're going to have trouble. Now, see, this guy over here is kind of really significant and really stuck in there. Alright, I think that's the last really big one. Alright. Okay. Anything else? Maybe one more here. So, I mean, using the hot glue gun and having it not work is inconvenient and sort of like time consuming, but ultimately it was a learning experience. Like I've learned not to use the hot glue for this application. I had basically bought the hot glue for that application, so knowing that it wasn't the right choice was a powerful thing, you know. So even though I hated to learn it, I did, you know, gain some important knowledge out of it. I'm just taking a razor and trying to get anything that seems really tall. I have a flat razor, which would have been a much better choice for this, but there's no blade in it, and I don't want you guys to have to watch me look for one. I once had an intern, and the first day she was just going to watch me do my work. And at the end of the day, I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "I think you lose a lot of things. You spent like the whole day looking for things." Truer words have never been spoken. I think my nickname should be lost because I have at least lost something more or less every day. Alright, take a look at this side. Almost. Oh, this side's on here pretty good. Alright. Try to get some of this stuff off. Seemed like that X-Acto was good at loosening it up. Alright, so that go off. Okay. Almost. Alright. Did real good on that side. That side looks good. Alright. What's left here shouldn't affect our adherence of the next one. The only thing I want to take a look at is, in the process of cleaning this off, did we scrape a lot of paint off? Actually, doesn't look that bad. I love the knot in this one. I don't know if you guys can see it. The knot like right there. Super cool. Okay, so we got all of our stuff off of there. We check for paint damage. I've got one more spot here. I'm gonna have to put some more paint in there. Okay. Before we go in again, just gonna put a little more paint in here. There we go. Okay. Careful about the endless amount of paint you'll get all over you. I wear gloves more often than not. I just ordered them. In our pandemic, it's been hard to get things like nitrite gloves. It's been working out, but it's kind of going slow. I feel like I'll probably get them by maybe this week. Hot glue out. Like I said, it's bumpy, but bumpy's not a problem. It's sort of chunky or gloppy. Alright, I think that's our last piece there. All right, so now we just go in with our wood glue again, and the Gorilla wood glue. You don't have to go crazy. This applicator is cool because it fits in here really good. Yikes, but don't drop it. All right. Alright, so now you just wait a sec. Alright, it's about 10 seconds. Now, it's important to make sure you have it just where you want. I like to have them just centered. You know what I mean? So now kind of the same story as the last one is, you know, we have to get some pressure on this corner. I was thinking maybe we could use this guy. So you might just reach over this corner. Maybe not though. Yeah, it looks like not enough. Got a bunch of these other funny clamps too. I wonder how they would do. Oh, kind of like that. This is a great idea. Should have come up with this before. One more, but anybody out there has kids, they know you better stop owning anything because the kids are going to take at least most of that stuff and hide it somewhere. And as soon as you need it, it will be missing. Fourth one. I think that's going to really, really, really work. That's going to glue the heck out of that guy. All right. So now we got this one. A bunch of our hot glue here. So this guy, we painted. It's looking pretty good. Did just notice a spot right here. I'm not going to lie and say that there's not often touch-up after I glue the pieces, you know. Now those clamps worked out really, really well. So I wish I had 10 more of them. But the Hong Kong Phooey piece has some weight to it because it is on the gesso board, while this, you know, the Jet Shred piece being on paper makes it lighter. So we might be able to get this done without the clamps. just place this guy in here, drop him in, and then just split the difference of the size, put some pressure on it. Again, make sure none of the paint on your hands is wet for the purpose of smudging everything you've done. You'll find this is vlogging or live streaming. It's tough on the voice, you know. So like I said, this one feels good. Like this one doesn't even need any clamps because the weight's really pushing it down. Like I said, I do really like this one. You know, this one came out really, you know, really funny. Problem is I had to find a place to put it. Here's our first one. Pretty much looking all set. Mod Podge is self-leveling. So, you know, probably makes sense down the road to clear coat the whole top of this again, because I don't know if you guys can see. Right here we are working today has a different finish than the rest. So easy enough to coat the entire thing again and consistently distribute the glue that we used. You know. But for right now, it's pretty much all set. All right, so we're kind of all good with Hong Kong buoy. Let's see if we can put them right here. Let them dry for a few. Okay. What do we got next? All right. So this one is for the Etrigan piece, and I will tell you guys that this whole project I've been doing, the Open Comic Project, is on Instagram at hashtag #TheOpenComic. I've done about, say, 100 pieces. Excuse me, about 100 pieces, including these collages that I've been talking to you guys about today, for Instagram specifically. And I've gotten some great feedback from it, and the Etrigan piece is my #1 most hits of any of the pieces, most viewed of my pieces at 831. I'm kind of upset with Instagram just now that they changed the way insights work. Instead of seeing all of your insights, you see just the last 28, or the last 2 months basically. This is lame, you know, like I like to be able to track all of them and have fun with that. All right, so the same deal with this guy, right? We just, oops. Just draw our line. Turn it, draw our line. Turn it, draw a line. Good to make sure you keep extraneous paint cleaned up, because this stuff, I have no idea if it dries clear or not. So we'd rather not find out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 seconds, that's how long we have to wait before we place the artwork in here. And then the same deal as what I was just saying. You want to kind of get it right where you want it to go. I find if you have any kind of too much space, I always default to getting your bottom in first, because if you're looking at it, you're looking at it straight on. The top gap is almost invisible, but the bottom you can see pretty good. Now this one unfortunately doesn't have the same weight that the Underdog piece had, so this guy needs some help. That's why I'm putting a lot of pressure on it. when you take your fingers off, you can actually hear the artwork lift if it is lifting. And I can also feel it move. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can absolutely feel it move. So we want to see if this method works this time. I think these come off. Just want to move it up a little. That seems to be holding it down pretty good. All right, so now, the bottom popped a little bit on me. Thought I had one more of those long, skinny clips, like that I'm using right here. Apparently not. So, what do we do? Right. Just trying some a little bit of a way to put some more pressure on this end as I got a little bit of weight on it. Okay, so our last piece that we've set up so far is this one, which is for the Judge Dredd piece. If anybody out there hasn't read Judge Dredd, even if you don't really like that kind of stuff, it's amazing, and you could do worse than checking it out. This artwork is by the absolutely brilliant Brian Boland, who's the artist who did Killing Joke, Batman Killing Joke, and is really exceptionally talented guy. Everybody should check him out. So this is a glue job. Again, we're just dropping this guy in. Get it up in the camera there. And then just same deal. Straight across. Straight down. So I was talking about like framing artwork, you know, and like I said, these pieces, these frames, Jesus, are not expensive, but man, they look like they are, you know, and it kind of gives them a cool, you know, kind of vibe that you're using recycled materials. I also spent a lot of time at flea markets and yard sales looking for frames that might work. One of the problems there is creating artwork for the size of something you find as opposed to something you intentionally purchased. It can be fun to push yourself to do something different, but it can also be like really, really challenging and frustrating in some ways. So, same deal with this one. I'm going to kind of just drop it in and get it right where you want it to be. Now the problem with this, compared to all of our other ones, is that this is paper instead of wood. Will it dry the same? I mean, will it glue the same? I think it will. But, you know, it's a mystery. So we need to put some weight on that corner right there. And this one here. I need to find some heavier stuff. Even that doesn't have any weight to it. Oh, well, alright. No, it's this corner. Oh. All right, you guys. So what do you think? This is our last piece, the Judge Dredd piece. You know, so that is, you know, getting some artwork ready for, you know, for a show. You know, I guess I want to tell you guys real quick that it's wicked important, that you always think of your own artwork as really good. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing or what your aspirations are for your artwork to create to become. Always think it's good, no matter what. No matter what you've drawn, no matter what you think it looks like compared to that image in your head. Always think it's good. The people out there in the world, there's some harsh folks in the world, and a lot of them are gonna not be your best friend. Aren't always gonna be nice. So you should always think your work is really, really good, and you should approach it with like that. You know what I mean? Like if you did a drawing and you think it's good, it should be in a frame. It doesn't matter if it's not, if it's not what someone else wants it to be. If it came out the way you want and you like it, frame it. Put it at a show. I'm worn out, you guys. Put it in a frame. It's really important. And like the more you take your own artwork seriously, the better your work will get. Because we're all the biggest critics of our work, especially me, like everyone. And so we're always going to tear it apart, and we're always going to try to think of some way to make it better and think it sucks because we couldn't do it that way. There is always going to be an artist out there who can draw better or faster or whatever than you. And that doesn't matter, right? Because some great artists might be out there thinking, I wish I was more like you, right? And that's cool. So that's where I'm going to wrap up today. We're at just about an hour and a half right now. We did all the framing and repair framework that we had to do. We repaired that other piece that had peeled, and we're in really good shape. And so that was what I was hoping to accomplish today. Tomorrow, I will be back on Facebook from noon to 2. Tomorrow, we're continuing the work on the large bulldog cutout. I'd say we're about, 50-60% of the way done. Not a lot going on. I had used green instead of brown, so I'm in the process of repairing that. But other than that, I'm just exhausted. Other than that, I think we're in good shape. So come on back and check that out. That's at the Greenhouse Graphics Facebook page. And the artwork all of the artwork that I've created in this, that you've seen in this stream, was from the Open Comic Project, and is available on the Greenhouse Graphics Instagram page and my own, which is #toast, the word 20 and the number 3. Come check it out, see what there is to see, check out some of my other work, and come be a part of this, come be a part of our programming. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, so that's about all we're gonna do for today, and I will catch you guys